Right. Hey everybody, what's up? This is Mr. Extraordinary back with yet another video. I'm not alone as usual. I'm with Rob Sibeko. This is African Frame Podcast. Thanks to everybody who's been checking us out. Yesterday we had a lot of people joining us when we did the event. Not yesterday, last week rather. When we had a lot of people joining us for the Avengers one. We're at 140. I think it's 142 or 148 views.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm surprised myself that we had so many people watching. Don't forget to comment though. Don't forget to comment. Like and comment. So shout out to you, Rob. With your knowledge, I'm sure it's part of the reasons why they stayed for that long.
Do they normally
Uh,
bail?
yeah, so if you guys have any suggestions for us for like any movies you think maybe we should touch on, please let us know. We do have some movies that we would like to talk about, but if you guys have some movies that you guys would like us to talk about, please let us know. Yeah, man. So today we just wanted to do the first animated film, I think, 2D animated film. We have done an animated film before with Toy Story, but this is a 2D animated film. And this is not from Disney or Pixar. This is from Warner Brothers Animation. And it is a film called Justice League Frontier. So Justice League Frontier, basically, it came out in 2008, February 2008, with a budget of 5.7 million. And it was written by Darwin Cook. Darwin Cook was a comic book artist, writer, cartoonist, and animator who worked on comic books such as Catwoman, DC: The New Frontier, The Spirit, The Hunter. I mean, his work has been honored with numerous Eisner, Harvey, and Joe Shuster awards. This is coming from Wikipedia. The man is truly hailed as one of the best to ever do it in terms of the comic book space. And when you look at this artwork that's used in this film, that's actually basically his artwork, like his art style. And it's sort of vintage, but it works. It really, really works. And I like the fact that he sort of focused on the golden age of the superheroes, the golden slash silver age of superheroes, and it's remarkable. I love this movie. That's why I recommended it. But yeah, man. Okay, let me just quickly go through the cast. So you have people like Neil Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris voices Barry Allen. Barry Allen is the second Flash that we see in the comics. The first being Jay Garrick. So Barry Allen is the one. I'm sure you are familiar with the Flash series, right?
Yeah. TV series, yeah.
With
He's
Grant
the more
Gustin.
common Flash, right?
Pardon?
He's the more common Flash, like the one that most
Yeah.
people. If you know a Flash, you know Barry Allen. Yeah.
Yes, or Wally West. It depends on which era you grew up in. And then you have someone like Lucy Lawless who plays Wonder Woman. Um, so Lucy Lawless, I guess you could say she was very famous for playing Xena the Warrior Princess back in the day. So it's very fitting for her to be voicing Wonder Woman, you know. You have someone like Jeremy Sisto. Jeremy Sisto, I think I guess you could say he's underrated because, I mean, he played Jesus at a point, if I remember correctly. Um, and he was in Law and Order. He's not a bad actor at all. I'm not quite sure if people are familiar with him, but
Christ Jesus,
um, pardon?
Jesus, Passion of Christ, or what?
No, no, Passion of the Christ, that's Jim Caviezel. Jeremy Sisto played Jesus in what's that movie? What was it called again? You know, the one where the devil could shape shift into a woman and stuff like that. I think
So not
uh,
Lost.
the Bible collection Jesus. It came out in 1999. I think it also had Deborah Missing as Mary Magdalene and Gary Oldman as Pontius Pilate.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I started knowing who Jeremy Sisto was. It was from that movie actually. Um, and I think the last person that I should mention is Brooke Shields. Brooke Shields is also in this movie. Um, She plays Carol Ferris. So Carol Ferris is basically um,
Girlfriend. The
Hal
old.
Jordan's, yeah, Hal Jordan's love interest. So yeah, that's basically some of the cast. I don't know some of these other people, but I just wanted to make sure that we get an idea of who we're dealing with, the cast that we're dealing with here. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. So okay, I guess we'll talk about the rating later. But were your thoughts when you watched this?
I think this is a comic book fans movie. Like, I think if you're into
Mm,
comics, this
mm,
is kind of movie, definitely.
right.
Uh, like, there's a lot of stuff I kind of had to figure out myself.
Okay.
Right. The comic book fans have to figure this out immediately from like the first line. You know what I
Right.
mean? Uh,
Right.
and then other stuff, I was like, this, it's an interesting movie.
Mm,
The first time I watched it, I didn't enjoy it. I
right.
think I definitely enjoyed it a lot more.
Right.
There's something that they do there with the technique. And as soon as you say the owner, the writer, as a comic book writer, I was like, you know what? A lot of things just clicked in my head. I'm like, huh, that's interesting that you said that. Because there are some visual stuff that's fantastic in this thing. And I'm like, and there's some connections that are very clever. I'm like, this is nice. And
Mm.
this is not a typical movie. Like if you watch the new remake of just, I'll say the new. By now it's old. We're
The
talking about,
Snyder verse.
I'm talking about comics, the cartoons though.
Okay.
Or Justice League Dark with Constantine and
Oh yes, those movies. Yes, yes.
that one, you can kind that one feels more modern day movie, you could say.
Right.
Feels, I don't want to say vintage. I would say there's a style of storytelling that is here that I find kind of unique. And that's with like the speed of the individual scenes. But you'll see as we go through it about what I mean. Because when I break down the individual scenes, you'll see how you blow through things and the pacing of the thing.
Right.
Yeah, you'll see.
So I just want to give people some background. The reason I'm saying the Silver Age is with comic books. When superhero comic books first came out, you could say that was the golden age where we got introduced to Batman, Superman, Robin, Wonder Woman. Like that was the beginning. And then that era sort of died out, and then now comic book creators had to do like westerns and romantic comics and all of that. And then in the 60s there was a man called Julius Schwartz. Julius Schwartz wanted to revive the superheroes, but what he did was, instead of bringing in the old superheroes like Jay Garrick, he then thought about Barry Allen. And then came the Silver Age. Instead of using Alan Scott as the Green Lantern, he used Hal Jordan as the Green Lantern. And obviously, Marvel also followed suit with the Fantastic Four. So the 60s basically became the Silver Age of comics. So when you look at this movie or you watch it, you actually start realizing that this is actually based on the olden kind of like storylines, old school storylines. Even the period of this movie, it's pretty old. Like I think Kennedy was president at the time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. Either Eisenhower or Kennedy. I feel like there's some because technically they say 1954, which is Eisenhower, and then technically I think it was up until 61 or something like that is Kennedy. P.S. Both parts were assassinated, I believe. But I
Both parts are what? Sorry, what did you say?
said Eisenhower and Kennedy were the presidents. So I think in 1954, I believe it was Eisenhower, and then after it was Kennedy, and it plays from the perspective of, and I believe it goes from the perspective of Kennedy. I can't be 100% sure, but
Right.
it's reality, but it should. But right now, in the storyline, it's Kennedy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
What's his face? Ronald Reagan is actually technically an actor right now.
Yeah, he's not a president as yet. He's still an actor. I think he was doing westerns, wasn't he?
Comedies. Is
Wow.
it? There's a movie with a monkey.
What?
The future president of the United States during the 1980s and one of the most voted for presidents of all the United States. The most states,
One of
like 48 states voted for him. But yeah, that man was right now in this time period smiling with the monkeys.
Was he a good actor though?
Yes. In fact, people liked him a lot. In fact, he was ironically, despite him being later on against unions, he was actually the head of the union, the actors union at this time period.
You know what you're saying about the unions. I think I was listening to Robert Kiyosaki's book recently, where he was talking about how Reagan. What did he do again? I think there were. I forgot. There's a specific industry or a job set that people had, and that was their only trade. And he made sure to ban the people that were doing that specific trade, and people couldn't do the trade anymore because of Reagan's because of what he decided to do. I was like, oh, that is crazy. I just
horrible. I
pardon.
know. I'm not sure how that's I think union related. The one union related thing that was a big deal that he did was the air managers. You know the people that
Yes.
flight thingamajiggies.
Yes,
They tried to go on strike, and he shut that noise down.
he did. And,
Um,
and I think those people,
yeah,
from how Kiyosaki was saying it, they couldn't get any other job elsewhere because they were just good at that specific
that's it. There's no
yeah,
other
specific skill set.
airplane at this speed, at this distance can go. Yeah, what's the other job that does that? Yes.
Ish, dude, it's messed up. So the guy that acted with the monkey and was loved by everybody sort of screwed some people over, unfortunately. Sad. But anyway, we didn't mean to be political. Um,
Just remember this, I'm right wing, so. But
yeah,
anyway,
really.
yeah, I lean right.
Interesting, interesting. Yeah, so basically, I think this movie starts with, so basically, from what I understand from this movie, because I've watched it more than once, it's the main characters of this movie is Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern, and John John's Marshall Manhunter. Because it focuses mainly on them. Of course, you do have the DC Trinity over there, but I strongly believe that yeah, you do get two stories that focus on Hal Jordan and Martian Manhunter. I stand to be corrected, but that's how I see it.
No, I think you're right. I would say they're the heart of the story.
Yeah,
But I will say that the writer works hard to chop this up. He
yeah,
chops to
yeah.
pieces.
Because Flash also gets his thing. I think it even starts with him, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he even gets one of the longest sequences. You'll see as we go into this. Some of these scenes are 30 seconds. Like
Right.
scenes, 30 seconds, and then we're out.
I wonder if they didn't just take the comic book run of this storyline and just adapted it into a film. I've never read the comic book
Yeah.
storyline, but if you're explaining it like that, to me it seems like okay, they read those 2, 3, 5 pages and they animated it into 30 seconds. It's possible.
That's what I think, in a way. I kind of picture it as, you know, those like classic movie hostage notes where they chop up the
Oh yeah,
words
yeah. The letters, yeah.
and they just glued it, and then they took like a string and they tied it together. And there's like
Yeah.
at the end where I was like, yeah, maybe a comic book writer made this, where it all kind of ties together. This is tied to that. 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 And I'm
Mm,
saying, to me, there's a filmmaker part of me that goes, oof, I wouldn't do that. But
right.
a writer, the writer part of me is like, I would do that. If that makes sense.
Okay. What wouldn't you have done as the filmmaker versus the writer?
The filmmaker, I would have focused a lot more on the okay, so basically, I think I mentioned to this last week. I was talking about the whole the connections, right? You kind of see how everything comes together at the end. Like everything just goes beautifully, and you're like, this is great. Um, but in the beginning, it's kind of like I don't want to say a slideshow. That feels unfair, but it's like this and then this and then this. And I remember when the Matt Trey and Parker thing is you say this, therefore this, but this. You know what I mean? Whereas
Mhm.
it kind of happens like this is a picture, this is a picture, this is a picture. So you get the one scene, you get another scene, you get another scene, and you notice my words, and then, and then, and then. and then. Now, comic book wise, I could argue that that flow is not the smoothest. I
Mm.
will say this, and that I love about this thing, where he makes the scene short, is you don't linger on it. So you don't notice it until you maybe actually take a third time as to what's happening. So to me, I feel like as a filmmaker, you would notice that immediately.
Right.
But as a comic book artist, you wouldn't really notice that. Because in a way, I don't want to say you flow smoother in a comic. Because, I read manga myself. Like, you know what I
Mm.
mean? I can't afford DC comics. But
Right.
yeah, I read manga, and when I'm reading manga, there's a different flow to movies. I don't know if I can. That's what I'm saying.
Right. 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 Yeah. Actually, I was talking to this other writer, this lady who has a book out as well. She's also sort of helping me out with another project. She did say that writing for animation, writing for comics, and writing for live action are completely different. Um,
It's literally different skill set.
mm.
And you have to remember this. Everyone has a superpower. This is how I describe it, is that everyone has a superpower. Um, Movies have the power of editing. They have the power of like time control.
Right.
Where
This is stage.
if and to me,
Mm.
Facebook has the power of I don't want to say moment control. Some of the best moments I've ever seen don't have cut through. So, for example, Attack on Titan, which just ended right now. I haven't seen it myself. I've only read the manga, and the manga ending is truly beautiful.
Right.
I start spoiling things. Have you finished Attack on Titan yet?
I'm totally illiterate when it comes to Attack on Titan. I need to watch it. I need to sit and watch it properly.
It is, honest to God, one of my top five. No, let's say top. No, no, top five pieces of literature. That makes two mangas that have become my top five. And the one is actually my number one, and that's called After School Military Activities. I think I mentioned that one before. And this one is
After,
my five.
after school military.
Yeah, After School Military Activities. I think we discussed it once. But yeah, that's
Okay.
my number one piece of literature. Um, and then this one, honestly, top five, maybe six, somewhere there.
Is it
Um,
that?
the way it circles, the
Right.
way things you wouldn't have thought about in season one come back so smoothly. The way it changes genres, because you have to remember this. It starts as a post-apocalyptic horror,
Yes.
and then it's something else. Then it becomes something else by the end, and you're watching a different story, but you don't know that. And then it even uses your emotions against you as it flips the table. Like there's a character who we're all kind of supposed to hate, but not really because that person is exactly like a certain character. I'm not going to say who. So you hating that person now that the situation is turned is actually a commentary on you as a reader.
Oh, yeah. Right.
So well done. But anyway, my point is that there's a certain thing that happens that's so emotional, I swear. The closest thing a comic book has ever gotten me to getting like teary eyed. Um, where certain XYZ happens to a character. And then I watched the actual visual version of the anime, right? Where they kind of show the steps from X to B, and you kind of see this middle part.
Right.
And it wasn't as, don't get me wrong, these are some of the greatest artists of all time. It is graphically stunning. So it's not badly drawn. It's
Mm.
just sometimes that gap between
Yeah, it can
where you
throw
put
you
your
off.
own brain,
Mm. Mm.
sometimes that than what the greatest artist of all time can draw. So that
Mm.
is you know what I mean?
I get where you're coming from. I've noticed that sometimes, when you see the difference between Asian writers versus Western writers, or American writers, is they have different styles of approaching um, their work, and sometimes it's hit or miss on both ends. You can love something that the Americans have done that you don't like when you're looking at Asians, and sometimes vice versa. Like usually when I watch Asian comedy, I don't find it as hilarious as British for instance, comedy or American comedy. But when it comes to drama, I feel like Asians just innately have this ability to touch the right emotions when it comes to drama, and compelling stories. I think Asians just have a way of writing compelling stories. I mean, also Americans have. I mean, for me, I still prefer DC over Marvel. I still think
Always,
DC has
yeah.
a stronger, deeper writing style than Marvel. Yeah, but anyway,
There's blood and gore on both sides, but there's a certain grittiness that I can't explain in the DC side that I think is better.
yeah, yeah,
Wrong. Like I think Marvel does heroes great, like Tony Stark becoming an alcoholic and like dealing with the horror of that. But there's something special about that. The Batman trying to keep his family alive, his newly formed Bat family. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Deeply astronomical about that I can't explain to you. Like Batman going up against the villains that are basically specially attuned to him. You know what I mean? These external threats.
yeah, yeah. You said that before. I didn't actually see it that way until you mentioned it. I didn't realize that he's actually fighting. Like all these villains represent a certain side of him. I didn't realize it until you mentioned it.
Like, yeah,
Right.
Batman's ultimate strength, there's Bane. Batman, oh, these are all things that Batman could do if he wanted to become evil. And they're the one of that. But yeah, somehow Batman, like, who does Tony Stark fight that even comes close to him? You know what I mean?
Who does Tony Stark fight when it comes to what?
To that emotional element. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Having said that, I will say this. I think I agree with you on the anime point. I think anime, or rather let me say the Eastern writing, has some of the best plot points. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like the Attack on Titan gimmick is 100% unique. I don't think it could even be thought up of on the West, in my opinion. You know what
Mm,
I mean?
mm,
I think that's ingenious. But I do think that the West sometimes has, put it this. I think, like you said, British comedies are hilarious. I agree with you.
right.
I've never seen a British anything that has inspired me as much as either an Eastern or a Western thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Me too.
There's never been a pursuit of happiness that's come out of Britain that I've ever seen that made me feel that.
Right.
Or a,
And well, there's okay. There's Harry Potter and there's Game of Thrones.
but they don't inspire you to be anything positive, do they? Do you know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah. They could inspire you as a creative to a certain degree, but as a human being, yeah, they don't inspire you to do anything. You're right.
Trying to be. The British people, they do a good job of showing the real world of flaw.
Yes.
That's why The Office, the British version of The Office, is a lot more cringy because it feels real. The
Mhm.
awkward are a lot more realistic from The Office, the British version, to the American version.
Right.
How
Right.
the version of The Office is kind of inspirational at some moments. You know what I mean? It makes you feel good, and that's British. And then, of course, remember that the Death Note thing we discussed about the Asians, about the Asian version, the
Yes.
light, that's the American version, where they
Right.
try to be an underdog, whereas in thing with Jiggy, he's nowhere near the underdog. He's
Right.
just he's the top kid. There's
Right.
none, yeah. So and then yeah, top kid then meets other top kids. Naruto, he starts as the underdog, but eventually, not long afterwards, he becomes the top kid going up
Uh,
against
After
bigger
af- after he defeats Pain, he sort of becomes the popular kid. He becomes the jock.
yeah, popular.
Yeah.
To acknowledge his power from the first story arc, which is what's it, Zabuza, right? Yeah,
Yes.
first Naruto arc. Hell no, I would even argue before that when he's his shadow thing, when he produces like 400 of those things and he beats a Jonin level
Right. Ninja. Right.
story arc.
Mm.
Find out that his parents were actually really powerful too. Japanese storytelling doesn't mind doing that. You know what I mean? Whereas Western storytelling, we'd all get mad at that. If you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Because when you look at certain superheroes who are OP, as a Western audience, you might feel like this person is too overpowered, is boring, or whatever. But when you're watching Naruto, you're like, yeah, finally he's OP. Or you're watching One Punch Man and you feel like this is great. So I do get what you're saying.
I mean, look at the entire isekai genre.
Right.
The West hates isekai because every single isekai character, every chick loves him.
Yeah.
And he's got some kind of cheat that puts him ahead, right?
Right.
In the West, they call that a self-insert. They call that a power fantasy. You know what I mean? It's almost an insult now. It's almost an insult. Whereas in the East, they're still making money out of it, number one.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. That time I died and became a vending machine type of. Yeah.
He's a guy on Trakun.
On Trakun, yeah. Tubelo, I'm sure he's gonna be watching this. He showed me a whole video about how evil Trakun is, bro. Like from Yu Yu Hakusho to so many other shows, like Trakun has been killing people. Like without Trakun, Isekai does not exist.
And one of his favorite teammates is a train kun, which starts off my favorite isekai of all time, which is Tanya the Evil. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Tanya the Evil is a masterpiece. It's made by one of the greatest anime studios. The people that made Black Lagoon and this, I think it was season 1 of Attack on Titan. What are they called again? Madhouse? I think it's Madhouse.
I wonder what happened to Madhouse. Are they still in business?
I don't know.
Because I thought
season of something.
There's Madhouse, there's Production IG that did that Kill Bill thing. Then there's JC Stuff. JC Stuff did your Bleach, Bakuman, and then you have Studio Mappa that did
Yes.
Saga and Jujutsu Kaisen and all of that. It's actually quite a lot of them, eh? Yeah.
But Madhouse is like the Mercedes of anime studios.
Yeah.
Like the people that do Pokemon, everyone knows. Don't really go to them. Because don't get me wrong, they'll give you 50 episodes in 50 minutes. But beautiful. Like for example, season 2 of One Punch Man, you can feel the drop of quality. Like,
Did Madhouse do the first season?
Yes. And then that Pokemon people did the second season, which is why it looked different.
It did. It looked different. Some action sequences were cut off. It was not as hilarious. Like with those other guys, you can tell the budget was crazy because the action sequences was crazy. Yeah. Sorry, man. Going back to this film. So this film basically starts with. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's Iris. She's in Las Vegas.
Oh, no, it starts with actually we need to talk about before
the narration.
Yeah, we need to start before then, yes. The narration, which is done by Keith Richards, who plays the center, I believe that's the name of the bad guy. And you've got Keith Richards' voice is always fire, man.
I mean, this guy is so underrated. I think we need to do a voiceover thing eventually because Keith has voiced over probably 1,000 characters over the years. I'm sure.
I love all of them.
Yeah, and he's done a lot of DC properties actually, because in the Young Justice, I think he voices Dr. Fate.
Does he?
Yeah.
Right. He doesn't do John Stewart. That's someone else. That's
No, that's Phil Lamar.
Yes, I was gonna say we do a thing on Fulham as well because he does Static Shock, if I'm correct.
Yes, Static Shock and Green Lantern and Samurai Jack.
Yes. Yeah. And then at some point we need to talk about Uncle Phil doing Shredder for some reason.
Yeah. But I think also, man, the person that we need to give props to as well is Keith David. Keith David, I mean, he's in Rick and Morty as the president. In Pluto, he plays Dr. Tenma. I think he was also in Gargoyles. I think he played the main character in Gargoyles, the cartoon. So these guys, they've been in the game for a while. Eh?
Okay, I always thought this was the voice of the president in Rick and Morty. Oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
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 Well, you know. Cool. Anyway, I'm gonna go into this.
Sure.
Where's the part? And you can do the Vegas part. When you open on the voiceover, it plays in the perspective of an extremely ancient being, unknown but apparently powerful. He's
Mm.
talking about the universe or Earth and the rise of mankind and how at the peak of our scientific power and what I can only guess is the atomic bomb he needs to destroy our species. What follows is the long dead art of the extended intro. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This, I don't know if you know much about the extended intro. This is a form that existed in about the 80s and likely before. Most famously, to be associated with the original Pink Panther. That you know when
Mm.
he said Pink Panther cartoon before
Yeah.
the thing.
What
Yeah,
what you call that?
the title sequence. This
Oh
is the
yeah. Yeah, because it's a vintage kind of like art style, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
the intro to every movie basically. Movies don't do intros anymore. Um, this is used to kind of show an alternative history of the mankind with a super simple silhouette style. The title sequences used to be an art form in themselves. Now we see them as fairly quick or straightforward. A simple example being like the Star Wars title call that's a title sequence as well.
Right.
But also the old James Bond. Remember those James Bonds?
With the whole song, like an entire song where you see silhouettes and then they show the model maybe like she's floating or she's in the sky and there's fire, there's bullets, there's like it's a whole sequence. And you know, this particular one that we're talking about now, it reminds me of, you remember The Nanny, the sitcom The Nanny when it starts?
I used to love that. Yes.
Yes, like it's the same art style.
Ah, damn, I used to know the whole song. Damn it.
The Nanny named Friend. Yeah, I used to know the I used to know the same.
The French Prince. I think that's the only one I still know.
Yeah.
And of your boy raised in the playground, that's been most of my days. Anyway, yeah.
Right, right.
Yes. Yeah. So you do know what I'm talking about. Do you know how those started? Those were actually literal title sequences. So basically, in the olden days, like cinemas used to have curtains,
Yes.
and they used to be like because people didn't fully understand what theaters really were in the olden days. So like, well, these they hadn't come into themselves. So curtains would open. It'd be like a little title to show you the movie's about to start, and
Right.
then those formed into a title sequence. And now they're gone, sadly.
Why do you
Nowadays,
think that is, though? Do you think that it's because people have somewhat, it's like they've adjusted to knowing what they're watching, that what they're about to watch. So there's no point in doing a title sequence because there's so much television and series. So it's like, I mean, when you look at something like Netflix or Disney Plus, you're given the option to skip the intro.
yes,
So it's as if we're conditioned to skip such things. Unless if you're watching a James Bond, you know it's gonna have. Oh, Mission Impossible. Even Mission Impossible to this day, it emulates what the series used to do. You know, when it starts like something is it's lit, maybe it's like a firework or an explosive, like a dynamite or something, and then it shows you scenes of what's gonna happen throughout the whole episode. That's how Mission Impossible the series used to be like. So if I remember correctly, I think the movies still do the same thing where you see bits and pieces of what's going to happen throughout the film, while the plays in the background. Yeah, man, it's a
now
lost art. It should come back.
is people we ain't got time for that. That's basically the thing. That's the argument now. Um, Sadly, yeah. But it's still a legitimate art form. Some people will still do it like shit. But yeah.
Yeah,
Nowadays people do prologues. You see what a prologue is. It's
yeah,
like for those who don't know, it's like Game of Thrones sometimes we do it, where it's like a little short story before the film actually starts.
yes,
Like or in horror movies, where like someone will die first to set the tone. You know what I mean?
yeah. Just give me a second. I think I must have written it down somewhere. Just give me a second. Um, I'm actually studying creative writing at the moment. So I think I made a note here. It talks about what a prologue is, but you can explain it way better than I can. Where is it? I
I'm
think
just
it's. Ah, man, I don't think I have it anymore.
ask to God.
Yeah, I wanted to read it out loud for you, but it's fine. Just don't want to waste any more time.
Yeah, 'cause you have a job.
Pardon?
You got work to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying about prologue? I
Yeah.
think you were saying something about prologue.
Saying prologues are basically the only alternative now to those title sequences that we have now.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So obviously it shows us how the center has been involved throughout history. Um, and we were not aware of that all along, which is very smart. When you're using real life events, which is something that I think DC has done before. If you look, if you have seen, well, I think this came out before Watchmen by Zack Snyder. But when you look at the Watchmen by Zack Snyder, when it shows the first generation of superheroes,
Mm.
how some of them got arrested and how some of them died and how the comedian was involved in Kennedy's assassination. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's like, okay, they use real life historical events to introduce you to their world. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
I believe that wasn't Frank Miller. Man. It was someone else. I know the guy with the giant tree beard guy.
Oh,
Um,
Alan Moore.
Alan Moore. Yes, that's his
Because
main.
yeah, I tend to mix Frank Miller and Alan Moore myself.
Like for example, they do crazy dark stuff actually, and it's always like
Yes.
there's this thing where people can be edgy and it comes off as lame, but having the comedian sexually assault and then have Thingamajiggy give birth to the other lady is insane. But it comes off as it doesn't come off as edgy, it just comes off as this crazy thing.
Yeah.
Another example being Daredevil. Daredevil's girlfriend. I don't know if you know the storyline, but
Which one? Are you talking about Electra or another girlfriend?
Murdoch Papers, I believe, is the name of the arc. By Frank Miller. Where basically Daredevil has a girlfriend. The girlfriend goes off to go be an actor, becomes a failed actor. Does it? Her dreams do not succeed. She ends up smoking. She ends up smoking crack. She ends up flying. And next thing you know, she's in Mexico. This is over the course of a year.
Is this not the Born Again storyline?
I'm not sure. It might be. It's in the Murder Papers of the Born Again Paper. I think you're right. It might be
Wait,
Born Again.
what's the other one you mentioned now?
The Murder Papers.
Oh,
That's
probably, yeah. Okay.
those thingamajiggies identity. So I'm not sure. But yeah. And then in order to get another hit, she then gives away Daredevil's secret identity just
Oh
for some
no, just
that's
for wow,
crazy.
wow.
And then obviously the thingamajiggy, the drug dealer tells the kingpin, and then yeah, ish.
This is when he loses everything, right? Like where Matt loses everything.
He doesn't mask for most of the arc. Yeah, he doesn't even put on his clothes for most of the arc. Yeah, that is
Uh,
like, and
But you see, that's one thing that we don't really talk about a lot. I know we're still talking about the movie and we're gonna get there, but I think it's just to give you guys a lot of context about um the comic book industry and story writing. I just wanted to say that um Frank Miller and Alan Moore have basically, you could say that they helped keep the comic book business afloat because Miller wrote The Dark Knight Returns. He also wrote Batman Year One. Alan Moore came up with stuff like Watchmen, you know, and I think he came up with The Long Halloween as well. I think.
the amazing movie that was turned out of it.
Was that
The
oh
funny
before Vendetta? Yeah, yeah, yes.
part is that Alan Moore always turns against. If you convert any of his stuff, he ends up hating it, which is funny. But yeah,
Isn't it like Stephen King as well? I think Stephen King doesn't like The Shining or something.
difference. They gave Stephen King money, right, to make his own thing, and he made a weird movie where trucks are circling a gas station, trying to kill people inside the thing. Go watch the Nostalgic Critic video of it. It is so ridiculous. Where you're
Right.
like, maybe stay with the movies, buddy.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
But yeah. Anyway, there's someone. I feel like there's someone forgetting. Okay, first of all, don't forget Frank Miller and Sin City. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, Sin City. Who did 100 Bullets? Was it him as well? But so far the people that we've mentioned were very crucial in the 80s and 90s. Obviously, Chris Claremont was also crucial. There's someone. Yeah,
Of
you're right.
course,
Who?
Spawn,
Spawn.
Doc,
Spawn is who's this guy?
Studio.
Huh?
What's his name? I'm so ashamed of myself.
I'm also ashamed of myself. I know this guy like the back of my hand.
I
Todd,
know him. He's up to
McFarlane. Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane.
Yes.
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 There's one other guy who made Bell of Libine in front of a computer.
Who's that? What's the name?
Something of basically the original Witcher. This guy wrote The Witcher before The Witcher.
Wow. I am in front of the computer. I just don't know who you are talking about. That's the problem.
Say Witcher. No. Crap. I'm gonna try to look it up myself because it he gets accused. The fans always fight over which one came first.
Okay. What's the name?
Oh crap! I can't remember the name.
The name of the guy or the name of the thing that he wrote? What did he write?
Both. Just wait, I can't look it up.
What's the name of the thing that he wrote?
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I'm blanking. I'm under pressure, so I'm blanking.
Okay, what about him?
I'll find it now. I'll find it. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, I think as you're finding it, I just want to say that I think there's a lot of lore that needs to be explored when it comes to comic books. There's so many stories that have stood the test of time. The stories that you can read to this day that would still fascinate you, even though they came out like in the 80s, sometimes even the 30s, 40s, 60s. And I think they have somewhat played a huge role in cinema to this day. When you look at someone like Darkseid, for instance, Darkseid was created by Jack Kirby. If Darkseid didn't exist, we wouldn't have had Thanos.
Yes.
So the fact that we have Thanos and we have Endgame, it's all thanks to Jack Kirby, who created the New Gods back in the 80s, 90s, in the 80s, I think, 70s, 80s, somewhere there. So yeah, it's just a nugget of trivia, a bit of trivia.
Alric. Do you remember the name Alric of Mel Dubonnet?
No. What's the name? He wrote Mel Dubonnet.
Just wait.
Alric.
Alric of Mel Bonnet. Michael Moorcock, that's his name. This man he's an underrated legend. This man basically wrote the original Space Marines. Like all the stuff that we know about, like Starship Trooper, Space Marines.
How do I write his name? Alric. Alric.
Gosh, that name is unfortunate. Michael Moorcock. Moor, and then yeah, Cock.
Moor.
Yeah, Moor. Yeah,
Yeah.
can you find him? Can you look him up?
More cock, you said.
Yeah, Michael Moorcock. You seeing it? Moorcock. One word.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. Let me just share my screen quickly so that people can see what we're talking about.
This man, right? His storytelling. This man, because he was around in the age of Tolkien, right? He's been alive since Tolkien days,
Right.
right? And he was like, what would be a cool alternative to Lord of the Rings?
So this is him, right?
Oh, that's Michael Moore. That's it. No, you go back to the other image, the older one. You're in
This,
Michael Moorcock. You got to add the rest of the word.
oh,
Yeah,
this guy.
this guy. Yeah. So he played a character that was an anti-hero. The Elric, you can see it there.
Oh,
This,
this. But this does look like The Witcher.
yeah,
This guy looks like The Witcher.
picture of feeling it. But yeah, the White Wolf, which is the same name The Witcher has. This book came first.
What the hell, bro? There's someone that I wanna talk about as well. His name is, and I'll explain why. Gardner Fox.
Basically, this man single-handedly invented the anti-hero, basically. Like, this man is the OG anti-hero.
Wow. So this is Gardner Fox. Gardner Fox basically created the Justice Society of America.
Oh,
He helped write the Flash comic, the first Flash. Um, I think he was also included in the Justice League of America. Could be wrong, but I think he was part of the writers there. So DC wouldn't be where it is
mm.
if he did not. He was a science fiction writer as well. He has some books out. So basically, if he didn't write some of the storylines or come up with some of the characters from DC, we wouldn't have had the DC that we know and love to this day. So I just wanted to give background to that. I didn't know about the White Wolf guy. That's interesting.
Honestly, he's the Kobe of writers. So in other words, other professional writers, they
Hmm.
talk about fiction. People like us, sometimes we all know who it is. They'll all know. You know what I mean?
He's a writer's writer.
Writer.
Uh,
Uh, but yeah, anyway, the point I was trying to say is, isn't it interesting how all these guys live at the same time period? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, well, how like what's it, Mandela, Bishop Tutu, and someone else like lived on the same street or some nonsense like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. It's as if it's written in the stars or something.
I would like to think of us as, hopefully we can get there, man. We're all on the same street,
Right.
you know.
No, for sure, for sure. And that's why I wanted all of us to come together for that Avengers thing, because that's how I see us, you know. It's like they're just collecting all these people from all over. And I couldn't, if I had to call everybody, I mean, it was going to be a nightmare. You know, there's other people that hopefully will still join us. But going back to this film, I think, like I said, it starts with, we did say that it starts with the center, basically going through time and, you know, its
It
involvement throughout time. Yeah,
starts with the pilots.
right.
The war has just ended. They don't even say which one. You hear the voice of Lois Lane in charge of the radio. So she got a big promotion at some point.
Yes.
Now this is a different movie. Yeah, the two pilots talking about the end of the war when they're attacked. I'm sure DC fans immediately get Hal Jordan vibes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
100%, because it is Hal Jordan and it's another character who's also a hero. What's his name again? The blonde guy, right?
I can't remember his name, but yeah, he's also a hero as well.
Yeah.
They throw Easter eggs left, right, and center. They're just like, yeah, remember this one? The member berries are strong here.
Isn't it Ace Morgan or something like that?
Like that, yeah.
Yeah.
One pilot, we see the one pilot shot down, and he fights an Asian with a Russian hat, which is called Lashanka, by the way, with the red star. So I'm not, yeah. So we're talking the Soviets right now. So okay, I
Right.
guess we're up against. Um, by the way, remember that thing you talking about the creative writing? This part surprised me when the pilot kills the man in the fight, the Asian guy in the fight. Where you see the blood.
That's one of my favorite scenes, actually.
The man's head,
Because
it's silhouette, which means this story is not going to be gory, but it is going to be not going to be cute either. That's
I think also Bruce Timm does the same thing when it comes to the DCAU. Whether you're watching Batman or the Justice League Unlimited, where there is gore, but it's off screen type of situation. Because I remember in this scene, they had just mentioned that the war is over, but that Asian soldier did not hear that broadcast. And obviously, Hal Jordan, because he ejected his what's this, the plane that he was in, and then he landed to this soldier who did not hear the broadcast. So he's trying to tell this guy that, dude, the war's over. There's no need for us to fight. But there's a language barrier, right? You see, this is what I appreciate about writing. There's a language barrier. This guy is scared. He tries to fire a gun at Jordan. I think Jordan only had a knife.
no. The Asian had a knife. Hal had the gun.
Oh, okay. And he didn't want to use it,
Exactly.
but he
But
was forced.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's kill or be killed at that point. So unfortunately, he had to shoot. He had to shoot the guy, which he did. And I think this is where you start questioning heroism, where
Mhm.
sure, you are a hero, you have saved lives, you have fought the good fight for your country, but in situations like that where a crisis like that could have been averted, are you really a hero? Or sure, it is self-defense, but I don't know. It's a tricky
It's
thing.
a meaningless death. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's a meaningless death, basically. I mean, he could have just, but I guess if you're in that situation, the only thing to do was to shoot, right?
No, he didn't do anything wrong, but that doesn't make it right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh man.
All right.
Casualties in war. Casualties in war.
But I like the fact that it sets a tone.
Right.
Um, and you can do this in any kind of storytelling. It doesn't even have to be like a real life thing, like horror movies that we discussed. It can be something cute. Like, for example, director Wes Anderson did something similar with Moonrise Kingdom. This
Hmm.
is a cutesy comedy movie,
Right.
but you see a dog get killed by a bow and arrow because near the end, there's supposed to be tension. So you see the dog getting killed, so that's where you can get an idea in your head. It's fun to see that people can die in the story. You know,
Oh, I see.
you
It,
know,
it it sort of brings you back to reality in a sense.
the movie doesn't become dark, but at the same time, it wants you to plant the seed going, hey, this can technically happen. The tense things happen later on. You know what I
What
mean?
what you're saying about tone is very important because the more we speak, the more I think about Saving Private Ryan when it starts.
Yeah.
And you see all these soldiers in war and there's blood on the screen, and I don't know how Spielberg did that initial shot, but it was beautiful because it was like a POV shot, and you do see people getting shot. You're like, this is not a joke, guys. If you want to watch this movie, expect violence.
Yeah. And he worked hard to keep that stuff realistic. In fact, he kept it so realistic that he got the people to use like little radio frequency things to tie to the squibs. This was before the time of CGI bullshit. So this is all squibs. You know what a squib is, right?
Yeah, that fake blood thing, right? I think you told me about it before.
Exactly, a little bomb with a little blood wrapped around it, so it blows up, literally blows up. Yeah. Robocop being, of course, the greatest example, that guy getting like just yeah. So what he would do is, if you think that you right, pull the trigger, the electric pulse would fire out, and then hit the guy, the thing, and then whatever, yeah, whatever it was connected to would blow up. So it would look like one for one shooting, as opposed to just random scopes going off and then someone pressing a shooting button and
Mm,
just. They did that. The attention to detail done by Steven Spielberg and his team were incredible for this opening scene. And why? Because you got to set the tone. You got to understand what's happening in this movie.
right, right. So for me, that scene was done very well, and that's a typical DC moment, in my opinion. You hardly see stuff like that in Marvel. That stuff doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Mhm.
Like for instance, when you see Cap fighting the Winter Soldier, knife versus shield, it's stuff like that. But here it's done so well because it's just the two of them. There's tension. There's no need to fight, but they have to.
Yeah, it
Beautiful.
can be weirdly bloodless sometimes. Like, do you remember the Dark Knight movies, the ones that I think they were directed by Christopher Nolan as well, but the cartoons.
Yeah, I think it's uh Gotham Gotham
Uh,
by Night or something like that.
apparently they are tied. I think it's the same Batman, right?
Yes, it's the same universe. With Batman, I remember there's a specific one where he was wearing something that Lucius Fox created that could deflect a bullet, and
Yeah.
one of those bullets actually landed on one of the criminals, and then that's when he decided that he's not gonna use it because even though it protects him from dying,
Still hurts other people.
it hurts other people. Yes, I think it's Gotham by Night or something.
I can't remember, but I know it was a two-parter. I think. Then he
Yeah,
fights, and then the Lady Robin. I forgot her name, but yeah, but yeah, that was not gory, but it wasn't bloodless. You know what I mean?
yeah,
There's something Marvel about that.
right.
Marvel just can't seem to do. It's fascinating actually. We should actually do a back-to-back Marvel verse thing to be cartoon. You know what I mean? Just to really see what's going on here. Why they constantly
Marvel versus what DC thing.
just to see what's going on with tone.
Mm,
Especially DC is flopping right now with a lot of their ideas. They're not good ideas, sadly. Yeah, like Blue Beetle did not do well because I think they were going.
yeah.
It should have been darker. In fact, we were
I,
discussing today. Me and the people at work, we were discussing that Blue Beetle failed because me and my coworker were saying that Blue Beetle's scarab was too cute. It should have been psychopathic because you've watched the. I know Tapera was talking about him having watched the Justice League recently, but do you remember the Blue Beetle scarab? Even though it's an AI, it's pretty brutal. You know what I mean? It's like he wants to get from A to B, and it will go through you to get there. That's what it means.
yes, and also the scene where it actually attaches itself to Jaime, and he starts, like basically the family is in shock that this is happening. That scene, in as much as there was comedy bits in it, it could have been darker.
It could have been terrifying.
I don't know if you remember the transformation scene in Michael Jackson's Thriller back in the day.
Yes.
That was terrifying. And I'm sure it was just a parody of Teen Wolf, I'm assuming. The more I think about it, the more I see it, the more I feel like this is like Teen Wolf. But um have they done something like that? Even though, George Lopez comes in and say, "Oh, you've been with waste, hermano," you know what I'm saying?
Don't
Uh
don't do a funny Spanish guy. Just do, oh my God, my son is dying kind of thing. You know what I mean?
right, right,
Go into it. Like,
right,
give you example, something that was quick. Everyone knows Suicide Squad was a bad movie, but there's a nice moment, right? Where the transformation between the ghost creature and June, where like her hand is like this, and then the evil hand goes like this and like swallows it, you know what I mean, in 1 second. That
right.
quick moment, that was creepy.
Yeah.
That was so creepy. Marvel, actually, I would say Sony does that Blue Beetle movies type stuff. Not even Marvel, but Sony.
Right.
DC shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have been that cute. It shouldn't have been that funny.
Yeah, I think the problem with DC, I think we had this discussion before, or I had it with the other guys that the problem with DC is when it starts copying other properties. DC in its nature is never meant to copy anything. Uh, if it copies something, it should be something that is out of existing mainstream properties. I'll give an example. If Disney copies Osamu Tezuka's 1937 book that a lot of people have forgotten about, it will work. But
Yeah.
if DC is copying Iron Man that came out in 2008, they will flop. Because DC is usually the pioneer when it comes to stuff.
Yes. I mean, look at the Joker, right? What could be more Joker than the people in the bus looking at this guy, as he laughs and is in physical pain? You know what I mean? Or
Mm,
when he fixes his clown shoes and you see Joaquin Phoenix's bones just coming out of his. To me, that's DC. You know what I mean?
yeah. You remember that scene where the two characters came in to sort of mourn with Arthur when he lost his mom?
Mm.
And just after he killed the guy who used to bully him, the short guy is trying to reach the doorknob. That is DC, bro.
That's DC, man.
That
That's
and Marvel had it right with the first Punisher. The first Punisher for me,
John Travolta one, right?
the John Travolta one. That for me is one of the best Marvel movies ever made, in my opinion. It's criminally underrated, but scenes like where he's taking a popsicle and as cold as it is, and he's smearing on the guy's skin. And because obviously he shows him something, blindfolds him, takes the popsicle and puts it on. The guy thinks it's what he saw before he was blindfolded, as torture. That is brilliant,
Yeah,
that is brilliant.
clever moments.
Yeah.
Like Ronaldinho sadly, Ronaldinho wasn't the greatest soccer player of all time, but wasn't he entertaining? He was one of the most entertaining soccer players of all time.
Wasn't he originally a street footballer or something like that?
I would think so. The way he could plow through like 10 players. Do you know what
Right,
I mean? Get in
right,
front of was
right,
incredible. And
right.
in filmmaking, I discussed this in one of my TikToks. You gotta sometimes just gotta do the trick shot. You know what I mean? You gotta do the clever moments. And what you said there, clever moments.
Right,
Beetle was a clever moment.
right,
You know what I mean?
right, right.
We could do this all day. Let's just
Yeah, no, we get. But anyway,
yeah, okay, let's get back to it. Okay, we are thing to be, yes, the atmosphere. Cool. We fade and we go to Gotham Observer. Yo, the casino scene is later, eh? You're 7 minutes in. We
okay.
fade to move to Gotham Observatory to a dying man. By the way, this is like the third scene that we're in, and we're only 7 minutes in. Man, a scientist accidentally brings a Martian to Earth and dies.
Right.
Two NPC deaths in 30 seconds.
And man, the thing is, I think I've made it clear, very clear to whoever's been watching this from day one. I love DC way more than I love Marvel. So if we seem like we're spending too much time on a specific scene, it's just the sheer, love for DC. This man dies out of pure shock that he's seeing a Martian. The Martian didn't do anything to him, you know. And I like the fact that, I mean, you could say it's the juxtaposition between what Hell just did versus what Martian, both innocent, you could say. Both did, like you were saying, both did nothing wrong, but the consequences of their presence have resulted in people dying. One was bloody, one was external in terms of a bullet went through someone's hole, in someone's head. And this one, it's internal. Yeah. Fear, shock, stress, whatever you call it. Instantaneous death because you're watching an alien with your own eyes and you cannot believe what you're seeing. You cannot comprehend what you're seeing, and the guy just dies. So Martian Manhunter disguises himself because he could camouflage. Basically, he's a shapeshifter.
So long for that guy to explain to himself what's happening. I feel like that was the movie basically saying, hey guys, this really wasn't Martian Manhunter's fault. Like the dialogue, he's like, oh, I've died. You know what I mean? Like there's this guy is talking the whole time.
Really, as he was dying.
Yeah, he basically explains the whole situation. He apologizes for having sent this guy over a mistake. He was just trying to send a signal. He says, oh no, I'm dying. My heart is not going to make it. He says all these things. It's pure exposition.
Right.
It's just
and
yeah.
Hunter is not even saying a single word.
Which is ironic because the other one, it's Hal who's talking and the other guy is silent. And in this one, it's the guy that's talking and it's the hero that's silent.
Yeah.
Good juxtaposition. I agree. That is a good juxtaposition. Keep it short, in and out.
Right.
I feel more. This is a more for DC fans who already know who just copied the dead scientist's body by having the scientist die immediately. It keeps Martian Manhunter's hands clean.
Right.
On the next scene, we're now in China. We see Asia. We see Superman and a bonfire with strange human-like silhouettes. It could be wood, but maybe not. We see what are the Vietnamese because the hats.
Oh, I love this scene. I really, really love this scene. Yeah. And I think it shows you that Superman has no jurisdiction.
Yeah.
That's number one. And also he tries to be as useful as he possibly can if he encounters danger wherever he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the start on the whole Superman has a jurisdiction. I've never understood that whole argument. But anyway, a pissed Clark, the red-eyed, pissed off Clark, enters to see Wonder Woman. It turns out those people were Wonder Woman freed were women from the destroyed village in order for them to take revenge. So they all took revenge. It looks like I'm getting my favorite kind. Okay, this was before I forgot. I knew I already seen this movie. I got excited because I was like, we're getting my favorite kind of Wonder Woman. Because I think we've discussed Wonder Woman before.
Yeah. Can we just touch on that? Why are you saying this? Because I do know that this scene actually fleshes her out a lot more. But yeah, should we get into it quickly? So basically, Superman goes in, finds this Vietnamese woman, says, as he lands, these women obviously they charge Superman as if they wanna, fight him, and then obviously he's like, Diana, please tell this woman that they're gonna be wasting their bullets. So Diana's like, do not marvel that they're doing this. These women were captured, tortured, whatever. And Clark is like, so did they kill them? Because I think he saw some corpses outside before he went in.
Fire. There's corpses in the bonfire that would like a hand.
Right. Yeah. So it's asking Diana why, what's going on, and Diana just explains that, look, these people, like I said, they were tortured, this and that and the third, and they basically wanted revenge. And
all the people were killed. They were about to be sold off. They're going to be used as sex slaves.
Yes.
And then you just let them go, disarm the men, put the guns over there, and then kind of just took a step
back. Yeah, that's what she did. She didn't. So basically, she allowed them to make the decision.
And that's what pisses Clark off. He's like, so you just let it happen.
Yes.
And pissed off about that. Yes.
But also, oh man, you see, this is what I love about personalities, or rather character backgrounds. You need to understand that Wonder Woman, having been raised in Themyscira with a group of women empowerment, strong women, that's what she's used to. She's used to women fighting for themselves, and celebrating their victories, their wins, right? Clark is raised in a patriarchal society, and not just because of patriarchy, but he doesn't like bloodshed, people dying for no reason. He believes in honor, truth, justice. He believes that maybe the courts should handle this if needs be. But in
Yes,
Vietnam,
yes,
pardon?
yes. Yeah. I'm saying, yeah, you're right. He believes in the courts, but what courts? They're in
What courts?
Vietnam.
We're in Vietnam, Chief. You know, you know what I'm saying? These people were going to be used as sex slaves. So Diana doesn't see anything wrong with this.
And not only that, but to be fair, okay, we discuss that they basically, this is an exposition scene, right?
Right.
Man, we find out number one, Batman is a fugitive. Number two, there's a group called the Justice Society, and they've been disbanded, retired. Number three, the government is afraid of them. Some guy named Our Man is dead. We don't know who that is. But yeah,
Our Man, yes. So Our Man is basically, they don't show him in this one. They show him in World War II. What was it called again? Justice Society World War II, something, something, where the Flash goes back in time. He thinks he goes back in time, but he actually goes to a parallel universe. Maybe we'll talk about it one day. But basically, Iron Man or Our Man is a hero, I think, from the Golden Age who would drink a potion that would give him enormous power for an hour.
oh,
Yeah,
okay, that's interesting.
yeah, he was part of the Justice Society of America.
Yeah, but the point is the tension between the two is
Right,
that one is kind of sick of the bullshit, is the bullshit. Because she's been forced to sign some honor thing, a loyalty thing,
right,
and clearly the people still don't trust her, and she's done with it. And like you said, there's a culture shock of her living in a matriarchal society where there are no men,
right,
going to a patriarchal society where men fill up the leadership positions. So the idea of them not being able to strike back doesn't make sense to her. It's a
right,
culture. So
right.
now act out. And if you're a comic book fan, here's what I both like and don't like. If
Yeah,
you're a comic book fan, you immediately understood this. That's why
right,
you
right.
know what I mean?
You understood the context behind that conversation, why she's saying what she's saying, the rationale behind it. Yes, yes,
Don't understand Wonder Woman. That's just a scene of exposition. And it does get justified later on with the Lois Lane conversation. But I think as a non-fan, you'd be kind of confused as to what's going on.
mm, mm,
And I discovered this later on while watching. You don't see Wonder Woman for like an hour, or at
yeah,
least an hour to 40 minutes. I was shocked.
true. That's true.
Evil Wonder Woman is my Wonder Woman because in Injustice and in Crisis on Two Earths, evil Wonder Woman is fantastic, but we don't get that. She's gone from the storyline after this.
Right.
Uh,
Would you consider that moment to be Wonder Woman being evil?
think we're like this because I think My Hero Academia kind of discusses this. If you abandon the rules, aren't you evil? Do you know what I mean? If you
Hmm.
abandon the rules that make society work, how are you good?
Okay, you're abandoning Earth rules, basically.
Oh, yeah, but she's a part of Earth. It's a part
Right.
of his. Um, so the question is, I think there's a if you abandon society's rules, in other words, become the definition of antisocial, that is a pretty dark act. But it's also a fantastic act as a viewer because now you get to see what she really feels. If you know what I mean. You know,
Right.
bad most fun kind of concept
Right. Right.
as opposed to the restrained normal Wonder Woman that we normally seem to get.
I guess this is quite an interesting conversation because we will just close it off now. But it's like the impression that I got when I watched this specific scene is Wonder Woman has been hearing stories from women who've been abused and raped for years,
Yeah,
who've been helpless for years. So when she sees moments where women actually taking their power and getting their revenge, for her it's a win.
of course.
It's a voice to the voiceless. She's a voice to the voiceless. And for someone like Clark, who hardly hears such stories, it's he cannot comprehend the gravity of that situation.
Such a good boy that for him, even if he could, he probably still wouldn't change anything. I mean, look at Injustice. What's the first thing Wonder Woman does when Clark is like, "Screw it, we're taking over." She immediately flies to the Middle East. I don't know if you read the Injustice comic.
I didn't read the comic. I watched the animated film.
Oh, yeah. She immediately flies to the Middle East and he went and goes full Iron Man. Remember Iron Man, the first Iron Man?
Yeah. Yeah.
And basically, it's a similar scene to this one, actually, if you think about it.
Right.
She's like, take back your power. Here are some weapons. Let's do this, ladies. That's immediately what she does. So, yes, there is this. See, this is a side of Wonder Woman. This is why I like bad guy Wonder Woman. Because if you think about good guy Wonder Woman, where does this come up? This never shows.
Yeah, the good guy Wonder Woman is someone who's actually rebelling against everything that she was taught in the mascara.
She's almost like a wish version of Clark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's trying to be on the right side of things. You know what I mean?
Right.
She's a good person. One of the good ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't work, in my opinion. Now, to be fair, I've not read enough Wonder Woman comics. I'm talking about visual media. I'm talking about movies and TV shows.
Right.
And this kind of Wonder Woman is the best kind of Wonder Woman.
I agree with you. I agree. I agree with you completely.
Yeah. What's it? Class is trying to hold everyone's trust and Wonder Woman's frustration. She blows him off. Right? Tells him to piss off. But you can see there's regret in her eyes. Because again, this is actually this is not full bad Wonder Woman. This is her letting loose her repressed feelings, and then she kind of pulls back and regrets it, kind of. Because you see the word in that last split second before the scene comes. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
So, and I think this gets better elaborated upon in the Lois scene, where Clark tries to justify what Wonder Woman did to Lois.
So, would you say that she regrets then helping out? Or she's just disappointed, she's just feeling guilty because of how Clark reacted?
Let me put it like this. I think if someone says, don't go here, and you go there, and you have the time of your life, nothing bad happens, but you come back, the guy finds out that you went there and you weren't supposed to.
Yeah, and they say they're disappointed in you.
Yes. And she knows what she did, broke the rules that she signed. Remember, they said it in the early dialogue. I signed a loyalty pact.
Right.
Doing the Clark version of the right thing. It's not the version of the right thing.
Right.
Accommodated to them.
Right.
But then she breaks free for a moment. And now that's regret.
Right.
Something wrong in her eyes. It's that she knows she did something wrong in everyone else's eyes.
Right.
Trying to assimilate to.
Right.
In my opinion, that's what that split second is. But I feel like if you're not a comic book fan, you didn't catch that moment.
And I think that's that, going back to the conversation we were having earlier on for like 45 minutes about comic books, is there's so much that people can learn from comic books before they actually watch. I know some people just cannot read comic books. They struggle. Some people don't like watching animated movies or series. They struggle. But it's movies like this that actually show you the depth of these characters and why they're so important in popular culture. Wonder Woman is not just famous because she's wearing American themed clothing and she looks badass and she can fight. There's a lot of depth in her character and what she stands for.
Fraud. But this is why I hate her.
This is why you?
This is why I hate her, because she doesn't get explored. Like what
right.
More writing than any flippin' Wonder Woman storyline ever. Zack Snyder, which I love, doesn't do that. The Justice League, the whole thing, never does that. The Wonder Woman movies, I think there's like 3 of them. None of them.
It's 2. I think Had Snyder been given an opportunity to write a Wonder Woman film or to do a Wonder Woman film, he might have explored it.
Yes.
Might have explored it. Because the Wonder Woman that we get from Batman v Superman and the Wonder Woman we get in 1984, they're two different Wonder Women.
Oh, don't even get me started on this thing. 84. What a waste of my time.
Yeah, look, you see, it proves our point. When you try to turn Wonder Woman into Superman, you get 1984.
Yeah.
That's basically what happens.
I mean, she could have had a real societal issue and been accumulated over time. But she's supposed to be Wonder Woman, the people's champ. They didn't do that. They didn't do that. Even though I'm not a fan of the Battle of the Sexes, personally,
Right.
things you can do, but you can get away with that.
Yes.
Uh,
Like for instance, the storyline about Vietnam.
yes.
It is a battle of the sexes thing, but it's done in such a tasteful way that it does not discriminate against anybody. It's it's commentary about what actually happens in the world
Oh, yeah.
and how if women were given an opportunity to fight for themselves, um,
Okay. That would be interesting.
them celebrating that victory when they were helpless for the most part, is something that we rarely see in real life and in fiction. Yeah.
Can you imagine a movie that carried on? Like she came back and maybe half of those ladies had actually gone to attack another village with all those weapons.
And did the same thing to guys.
Yeah. What
That
if
would have been interesting.
come back and be like, whoa, guys.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power, because that happens when you're new to power. Good example being Cuba. When what's his face? People always think of
Fidel?
Fidel Castro, right? But also not Fidel Castro, but Che Guevara.
Che Guevara.
When they took over, right after the American puppet, as people always said, we had the Truth and Reconciliation Council, right?
Yes, we did.
Murder trials and thousands of executions. They had the exact opposite of us. And yeah, you can see the difference. Some people say going there is like going into a time machine, like they're going back in time because of how isolated they are, how self-isolated, how tough things are there.
Mm.
So, how interesting can you imagine? Can you imagine a movie that talks about those two different things from a Wonder Woman perspective?
Yeah, I think it would have been hard to write it.
Yeah, that is true. That will take a lot.
But it would have been extremely challenging for the writer to actually do Wonder Woman justice. No pun intended. But I'm talking about the character of Wonder Woman. I think you need to challenge yourself in your writing where the character challenges you, whether you'll be able to actually do a really good job for Wonder Woman as a character to put her in that position and find a solution that does not seem like a cop out.
Or pandering, yes.
Or pandering, yes, but more like
yeah,
not a preachy thing, but more like you know what? I might not agree with what Wonder Woman did, but I do understand why she did it like that.
Yes. This is actually what you just said is very clever. Because I think a lot of writers, what they try and do is they try to challenge other people as opposed to challenging themselves.
Mm.
So you're like, okay, XYZ is written. But now how do I get to the next step? And you have to now put in you've set yourself an impossible task in getting this to work. And now you trying to fill that task. That you have to run to catch up to the thing that you set for yourself.
Right.
You trying yourself, not you trying to accommodate a different person. You have created a void in yourself with
right.
the person. Now you've got to fight to fill it. You've got to do research. You've got to watch other movies.
Yes.
That is good writing. I don't care what comes out at the end of it. You're all gonna love it.
I absolutely agree with you, because you start questioning, you might even start questioning the initial idea that you had about this whole storyline and how you're gonna approach it.
That was legit. I need to save this moment because that was a good one. That was what you just said there was actually that needs some inspirational music. By the way.
Right. You see, look, if we really struggle to finish this movie, we'll do a two-parter. But once again, the importance of DC storytelling is that you can take such a small scene as this. This scene doesn't even take more than a minute, but the depth of the story of this moment is crucial.
It's what I told you before when we did our first writer interview about how sometimes another story will ask a question that the writer never answers, and I will be inspired sometimes to be like, I wonder how you can answer that question. Comes the challenge, and then it's my mission to fill it.
Right.
Go inside like a void, and I'm just fill it, and that's what writing can be at its best. I think that's why Tarantino is always like, if you love filmmaking, you can never make a bad movie. I think that's what he meant.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And I think Cameron, was it Cameron? I think Cameron was talking to Leo, because when Leo was coming in for Titanic, Cameron was shocked that even the accountant and everybody wanted to meet Leo. You know what I mean? This was during, I think, the auditioning process or something. And Cameron is like, what the hell? What's the accountant doing here? But I think he said something like he wanted Leo to read the lines for the scene, right, for the audition. And Leo was not interested in that. And Cameron said something very interesting. He said, you need to understand that when you're done filming this, I'm going to spend another 3 years or so on this project while you are already doing another project elsewhere. So going back to what Tarantino said, you cannot make a terrible movie, is Peter Jackson, for instance. I think he spent 8 years doing The Lord of the Rings, writing it, research, and all of that. You need to understand, and this is, when we were having our discussions about the stories, the story that I'm writing is, you need to have so much respect for your characters and your story that by the time it comes out, you have no regrets, because everything that you did has been researched upon researched and analyzed, and to the point where when people watch it, they admire all the nuances that are not even said. Like this small scene, the fact that we're going in such detail for this small scene, you can tell that there was so much that was placed into this moment. I mean, they could have done this movie from any time. They could have done it in the 2000s. It could have been based in the 2000s or the 90s. But the fact that it's done around the era of Vietnam at that moment changes everything.
Yeah, it really does. It has a huge impact.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. Let's cross the 10-minute mark. So I'm go. Back to Gotham. Wonder Woman is a headline having saved the Indo-China region. Side note, this must be before Kennedy, because the French have already been expelled by the Viet Cong, but there are no Americans. Reminder, we see Martian Manhunter trying to accommodate the human life. We also see him using the Bugs Bunny Warner Brothers license. Nice.
So before you go there, what did you say about Kennedy and the French?
It must be that, because basically what happened was before America, because remember, the whole Vietnam thing was about capitalism versus communism.
Right.
Head of the Soviet Union, right? They were taking over parts of the Middle East. They were taking over parts of Asia to spread communism, basically, right? And then battle this. The American people, well, first it was actually because the Vietnam was actually more like a French. A lot of countries tried to take over Vietnam, and they've lost.
Right.
We lost people who got wrecked by the Viet Cong, right? So what happened was then the Viet Cong started joining the communists, being supplied by the Russians, etc., etc. And now America couldn't have that. So what they did was they were like, "Nah, we're gonna send people in to clean this up." You know what I mean? Let the pro-capitalist Vietnamese be okay, and then the Vietnamese, the Viet Cong were like taking over. Because which actually stopped it. You know what I mean? Ironically, at the end, the Viet Cong ended up winning, and there was the whole Saigon thing. Think Afghanistan, where Biden pulled out, and then a lot of people died. Like they left people behind that you wouldn't believe. Same thing happened on a somewhat grander scale, I would argue, in Vietnam. So yeah, pulled out. Viet Cong ended up taking over the whole area, which is ironic because now they're more capitalist in America. But anyway, in terms of need war, just let the communists run themselves. They'll sink automatically. But anyway, not the point. Yeah. So I was just saying that's some fun facts there.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool. 11-minute mark. We are now in Metropolis. There's been like 5 scenes, by the way.
Right.
We get the exposition about Wonder Woman and talking about Wonder Woman and why she would have left and why the culture shock that we discussed earlier. Lois doesn't seem to like Batman. She seems to have an animosity towards the heroes and she's pushing Clark to leave them. 12-minute mark. We move to Vegas. We are bouncing around a lot. We have to learn about Hal displaying crabs. I think this is what you come in. Yeah. You're gonna talk about the
so basically, I mean, Hal, look, he's a hero. Him and this is, I think his name is not even Alex in this one. I think it's, just give me a second, Kyle Morgan. They basically having fun because they came back from the war and they're just enjoying all that life has to offer. Obviously, this guy has a motive because he wanted to take out Hal Jordan from this because he knows that he's going to take him elsewhere later on. But during this, we have Iris West, who's Barry Allen's wife, interviewing someone. I just don't remember who she was interviewing, but then
or something like that, yeah, or a
yeah,
singer.
yes, a singer. Then obviously the singer is a womanizer and tries to make a move on Iris West. It doesn't work out. Then Captain Cold comes in. Captain Cold is a villain, is a Flash villain, and I think he wants to
rob the vault.
Yeah, he wanted to rob a vault. So obviously at this time, Iris is on the phone with Barry because she's like, "Yo, I wish you were here. I know you're miles away and whatever, but I wish you were here." And Barry's on some tip like, "Look, come on, you're working. It's fine. We'll make this work. I guess we can, go to Vegas some other time." But as this happens, that's when Captain Cole comes in, and then he hears Iris screaming over the phone, and because he's the Flash, he quickly opens his ring, uh, dresses as the Flash, starts running over to Vegas. And I guess that's the advantage of dating a super speedster, because if you're in trouble, he can come in a flash. You know what I mean?
Never being late, but yes.
Yeah. This is before Hal Jordan got the Green Lantern running. So he's a hero, but he's helpless. He cannot really do anything, right?
Yeah. Things have been destroyed because of his. I would say right now we think it's PTSD maybe.
Right.
He's undamaged. So yeah. And he says like he can't seem to get his things going anymore. No one wants to pull him in. But first, before we get back to Hal, because remember it's still Barry, then Captain Cold, and then we get the first taste of the center.
Yes.
Mark. And by the way, so far this has been the longest sequence, like 2-3 minutes, longest sequence in the whole movie so far.
Right, because Captain Cold, I think, had different bombs planted throughout Vegas. I think it was like 10 bombs or something. 5.
6.
Pardon?
It says 6 bombs, but it's actually 5.
Oh, so it was a trick.
Yeah.
So basically, yeah, he disarms all these bombs, and he just basically finds a smart way to save the day, basically, which he does. So nobody was harmed, and
It's
Captain Cold is basically arrested.
I
Pardon?
frozen in ice, and then the ice blew up, and I'm like, is he alive?
Yeah. And this is when, like you're right, the center we sort of were reminded that this thing exists. I think it sort of like telepathically speaks to Barry. What did you
like,
say again?
it doesn't, it doesn't understand how Barry is so fast. So like almost like asks about that, and then Barry's like, "Who the hell are you?" And then it disappears.
Right, right. And then we shift to, I think we shift to Barry and Morgan. They're heading to, this like Area 51 type of places where there's no entry. Pardon?
That's kind of we get the exposition about how. That's when we get the real exposition about how his flight dreams are ruined now. And then Thingamajiggy is like, "Yeah, don't worry, you got a second chance."
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I guess you could say it still plays on to that whole PTSD thing where when they drive, they are at high speed. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So it's you can tell that after having a near-death experience, you sort of want to live,
yeah.
and part of living is the gambling that they were doing earlier on, the high speed that they were driving on or with. I don't know how to put that in proper English. And then they get there at night. They eventually, so obviously they meet up with Carol Ferris.
No, 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 they don't. It just says, "This is your second chance," and then it goes Ferris, and it cuts.
Oh,
Remember, three scenes. No two things don't happen in one scene. Let's put it like that.
right,
Two things. One thing, we're out. One thing, we're out.
right,
So
right.
yeah, it's kind of like the District 9 discussion we had about how short scenes can build momentum. So right
Right.
now, relying on is momentum. Jump, 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 jump. We're trying to build speed.
Right.
Um, the pacing is really high. When we cut back to Marshall Manhunter trying to absorb the TV still, we're
Mm.
still under one foot and we're back with hell. And now we meet Ferris, Mrs. Ferris.
Okay. So basically, yeah, she introduces herself. I think she's the daughter of
Yeah, of the Ferris Industries or whatever. Yeah.
Ferris Industries, yes. Obviously, Hal is mesmerized by this woman. He sees a potential girlfriend while she's trying to be a professional and introduce him to this secret governmental space program thing. Basically, the idea is to launch Jordan in space, right?
Yeah, well, space testing, yeah. He's
Space
testing space.
testing. Yeah, and since he's a pilot, since he, has served the country, they see him as the best person for the job. Yeah.
And then that's it. And then he's like, "Hey, you wanna kind of hang out?" And then yeah, let's with the boss, all good, and it works. And she's like, "Yeah, let's order another drink." So that's
Didn't she say,
positive.
I think initially she said, I don't go out with my colleagues. And he said, technically, I'm not, I'm not an employee. I only start on Monday or something like that.
Yes, you're exactly right. And
Right.
she's like, and then that's that. That again, you get one thing, and
Mhm.
with Marshall, Marshall Manhunter, who's taken up detective life, and we see Batman, who, by the way, as you mentioned exactly 2 times, this is a nice the rule of thirds is activated here. So on the third time he's here, we finally see Batman. He's taking
Yeah.
on a cult,
Before
and
we
Marshall.
say that, before we go there, I just want to say, do you think that Martian Manhunter was inspired to become a detective because he was probably exposed to a lot of film noir type of yeah, at the time. Yeah, because there was a lot of film noir type of content around that era.
Yes,
Okay.
of that person, yes, of the film noir detective,
Right.
literally. So Batman takes on a cult. We discover Martian Manhunter's weakness is fire. At the 23 meter minute mark, we get the center speaking again. No, this time a warning is given. That wrapped up. We quickly move to Jordan. Testing has begun. We meet Rick Flag, a nice cameo. We get clues of a bigger mission that it might be affected by the center. Because one of the guys writes on a sketch pad the center. We see that guy. This is also a slightly longer scene because now we meet Faraday. So two things are happening. Now we're linking Mars. It turns out the mission is going to is to Mars.
Right.
Now we've got our connection. Martian Manhunter.
Mars.
Mars and getting a connection there.
Right.
And then Martian, we cut back to Martian Manhunter. We focus, like you said, we're focusing on these two a lot. They get the most moments, you know what I mean? And you see that this cult that's going on in the center is big, actually.
Right.
So, and then we cut to that guy who we saw writing the note. Then we get a quick cut with the Flash, who's attacked by the government when they give out a fake rod.
Yes, I think that was during the day. They was just basically trying to find a way to trap him.
Yes. He vibrates out of the net, and then later on he taps out.
So they basically were not exposed to him being a hero, right? They were not, how can I put it? They were not used to having him as a hero. That's why they tried to kidnap him.
Government basically disbanded the Justice Society. And you kind of hear Lois kind of having some animosity towards Batman, who's a fugitive. So I think what's happening is there's superhero tension. The first example I can give is like The Incredibles. You know what I mean?
Yes, where should we trust these people?
Exactly. And Superman specifically says the government is afraid of us. Right. This is an example of government being afraid, and one would argue that the Martian Manhunter is also an example, but I give that half example. But yeah, the Martian Manhunter is tied to Hal right now, and we get into an interrogation scene with a guy who basically explains that there's a ship going to Mars.
Yes.
Basically, and then we meet Faraday. Faraday meets Martian Manhunter, and Martian Manhunter finds out everything. Then
because Martian Manhunter can read minds, right? So he knows that this guy is not lying, and it's about a spaceship to Mars. And Faraday is basically acting like this guy is losing his mind. He's not being honest.
Yeah, it's great. When we get our next cut, we see a black man has been lynched or something like that, right? And that kind of shows a bit of a clue, first of all, the racial tension still there. And even though it's an alternative universe, the racial tension is still there, number one. And it's kind of a clue as to why Martian Manhunter is kind of done with living on Earth. So,
Yes. I mean, he was exposed to a cult. He's exposed to like this racial tension. Superheroes are being feared. He doesn't see a reason to stay.
And the next thing you know, Flash is on the TV and he's quitting. He's like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Family. This is
I like Barry Allen a lot in this one because we're used to Barry being very funny and stuff, but because the team is not, they're not a team anymore. You see Barry as an individual, as a husband, as a hero, and after that whole trauma of him nearly being captured by the government, him declaring, to the world that he's done being a hero. It was a very touching scene for me because you can tell that, look, it's not worth it. If it means that you guys want to capture me and all of that, then I'd rather just hang the cape.
Then to make it worse, everyone in the bar that Martian Manhunter is in is like, nah, it's for the best. Screw him.
Right. So Martian Manhunter's just thinking to himself, then there's no point.
Yeah. Then we move quickly to Batman and Martian having a discussion. This lasts seconds. Again, I was going to say, this is very much like Batman Year One. I don't know if you've seen the movie of Year One.
I have.
It does not overstay any welcome. It is in, out, in, out.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't come out of this at the end of this, but anyway.
I think this is one of those rare moments where you actually see that Batman is actually the world's greatest detective, because first of all, he goes to John, and I think John was still in human form at this time, right?
Yeah, there's no thing says that he's not John. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just makes it clear that look, clearly I can see that you're investigating. What was he investigating again? Certain crimes, right?
The center and the cult surrounding the center.
Or the center, yes. So Batman is also telling him, look, dude, I've also been searching about this whole thing. So Martian Manhunter's like, okay, then I'm assuming that you want us to work together. Uh, and Bruce basically says, yeah, we can, but I need to let you know of something. I have, what did he say, 300,000 worth of,
$70,000 for a sliver of kryptonite.
yeah.
And for you, a penny for a box of matches.
Yo, yo, for me, that line was amazing.
Dog. First of all, fuck you, Batman. Second of all, that's crazy. Crazy.
But you see, it's for me, it's foreshadowing two things. Like you said, if you're a comic book fan, you would get these
Yeah.
things. If you're not, it's foreshadowing two things. One, Batman is the strategist tactician of the Justice League. The Justice League has not been formed yet at this moment. Two, it foreshadows the the Tower of Babel storyline, where Batman has a contingency plan of every Justice League member should the Justice League go rogue. And his intention is to neutralize every member should they go rogue, not kill, but neutralize. So a moment like that where he said, with you, I only need a box of matches. It was amazing. Amazing. Amazing.
Cool. That was great. Yeah. We're in the Flash's mission. Oh, wait.
No, I think the Flash already he gave up, right? So he was chilling for a while.
Yeah.
And I think Superman and Batman, I don't know if we spoke about that scene
So,
where uh Clark goes to the Batcave speaking to Batman.
I don't think it's happened yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's first what happens is not the Flash, Hal's mission that Marshall Manhunter joins, because then we cut to the spaceship.
Right.
And
Yeah. So this is actually the day of launching day, basically, right?
yeah.
Where Marshall Manhunter, because he can camouflage, I think he manages to get to the space station, and his intention is to use that rocket. Pardon?
Yes.
To use that spaceship to also
Kills him, and then Faraday shows up.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Pulling apart. Breaking up. What are you saying?
Oh, I was just saying that. Yeah, can you hear me? Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Then say it, the whole thing again.
I was just
I
saying
didn't
that.
hear any of it.
I was just saying that Marshall Manhunter was basically getting a lift from by using the spaceship as a way of getting back to Mars, basically. Yeah.
But then, seen in the smoke, Faraday shows up, and they have a fight. They shoot the spaceship by mistake, I think. I think that's where the spaceship fails. But yeah, the spaceship takes off. Martian Manhunter has a choice to either save Faraday or join the spacecraft. He saves Faraday, and then gets captured. Then it turns out that the engine has problems, and if it's good writing, then if it's clever writing, then it's because of the gunshot. Again, I feel like there's not enough if then else in the storyline. But then this happened. So I would like to think that at the very least, when they fire that gunshot and hit the spaceship, something gets damaged in the engines, and that's what causes the ship to shut down halfway. And the ship can't re-enter atmosphere because it has weapons. It has got nuclear weapons. It is a disaster.
So it's a danger to the world, basically.
Cannot land on Earth.
Right.
So Rick is like, hell no, time to sacrifice ourselves, gents. Um,
And he does it without a second thought, bro.
I'm almost like he should be a Green Lantern. This man has no fear. But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
but Hal's like bullshit. So he takes out Flag. Chaos forces the mission, i.e., mission control. Sorry, forces mission control, i.e., Faraday, to call in Superman, the big guy. Then Flag does what he does best in all movies: die.
But just to give people context, this is Flag Senior. This is not Flag Junior, because the flag that we see in the Suicide Squad is actually Flag Junior, not Senior.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the end, when that kid is making a speech about his dad,
yeah,
that's actually Flag Junior talking about his dad. Yeah.
That was a catch. That see, comic book right there.
Yeah.
I knew there was a reason they showed us that. I just couldn't connect the dot.
Yeah.
So Superman defends Martial Manhunter, saying this man can probably leave at any time he wants. He's choosing not to, and he's an alien like me, so we should trust him. Cool.
Oh yeah, I think there was also a nice thing there where I think Faraday was like, should we trust him? And it's like, do you trust me? Type of thing. Because
Yes,
alien.
yeah,
No.
it was good. It was a very good moment of Superman, who's only seen like 3 times so far.
Right.
And this, by the way, has been a giant 10 to 20 minute sequence.
Right.
Sequence in the whole movie, basically. So that's pretty crazy. So everything coming together like that, beautiful. I really enjoyed that moment. I thought that was fantastic. There are so many beats within the sequence, so many small scenes, so many beats. By the way, a beat is basically like when one thing happens. The scene is when like a bunch of things happen, and a sequence is like a collection of scenes.
Right.
That's kind of anyway. We get many beats, and then while this is all happening, it turns out the center has finally made his move, and we see Wonder Woman for the first time in 20 minutes.
Right. Because she's coming to basically.
Not yet, she's not coming. She's still fighting. She's still on Themyscira, and she's up there talking to one of her people, and one of her people, they're like fighting each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's actually a character that I've been wondering. I've been wondering who that character is. Is it that mentor type of character from the movies?
Oh, I know you're talking about. Yes, maybe.
Or is it like that girl in the Justice League animated series who was sort of like a villain?
Basically, doesn't she like join some other group, and then like she's on an airplane, right, that blows up with her in or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Maybe because they're both blonde, I believe. So it's possible. Cool. There's a battle, and then it leads to some looming figure flying overhead. And altogether, it's very short. Then we see Hal at an explosion. It turns out Hal is being dragged out of the facility. Ship and all. He just gets yanked out of the not Faraday, what's it called? Ferris facility. He's being dragged by a green light. And then we meet Abin Sur, who's died after a battle with the center after getting impacted by an explosion that just happened to happen in space. I wonder what it was. Flag only. Right. A yellow explosion because there was mustard gas in there, I'm assuming. And that kind of links Flag's death with Abin Sur's death, connecting everything. See, now things are starting to happen better. I don't know why this wasn't in the beginning. Not the point. We go back to Bat and Soup. Yeah, this is the part we're talking about. Still investigating the story, and then we kind of get the intro. Turns out that intro was not just for the audience. It's actually, what's the word? Diegetic? Is that the word? And it turns out it's in the story as well.
Right.
Like it's a music, where it's a music that's actually in the story.
Right.
The story we heard turns out in the radio scene. They talk about a storybook artist who died. Turns out the storybook artist who died basically told the story of the center. Right. We get exposition. First, we get some Abin Sur, get some exposition there. Then we get more exposition from this one.
Right. So basically, the story now is primarily focusing on the center as a villain.
It's a bit late in my opinion, but yes.
Right.
You get the looming shadow. You get the you get Abensur.
Right.
You get Batman, you get the story, the crayon, the storybook.
Right.
And then finally a beast attacks. But it's smacked up real in like a second by Superman. He is I think what they were doing here was kind of both clever and annoying. Because basically they show how strong Superman is, right?
Mm.
That pterodactyl immediately.
Yeah.
First you've ever seen, and he wrecks it in seconds.
Right.
Right?
Superman and Wonder Woman, because I think she comes in, but she's not here yet, no?
Yeah. So after he wraps up that thing, he like talks to someone, but then we see the we see. I think it was very clever, a nice visual of the invisible jet just covered in blood, and it's her blood.
Right.
And it's like comes in, and you just see her like a wreck. And then he gets her to the ambulance, and it's like it's coming. She's like, "Oh my God, it's coming!" You know what I mean? That build up.
Yeah.
This is great. I almost wish it started sooner, but I love this whole
Right.
build up. It's
Right.
coming 1, 2, 3, 4 different things. Normally it's a rule of threes, but this one goes to like 4 or 5 even. Yeah, the center is here. Hal now has his ring, it lights up. Flash is brought back by his love. What's her name? West?
Iris West.
Yes. She is like, dude, I've always known who you were. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. And she's like, no, you gotta be you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, she's a journalist. Obviously, she would know who he is. I think this thing of making it seem like journalists can not know the secret identity of their lovers just doesn't make sense.
Olden day journalists, modern day journalists, I don't know. But yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Flash is brought back. Flash runs in, and this is where the tension that was set up before comes together. Flash runs in order to help, but the military doesn't want his help. So the mystery men who had been shown in the little trailer sequence, they show up. A bunch of other heroes show up.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the guy is Green Lantern, either that or is the actual Robin Hood. I don't know.
No, that's Green Arrow.
Yes. So he shows up and he's there as well. And Superman just pulls them together. And Faraday leads the government department and shakes hands with Superman. We're working together now.
Yeah.
Any notes you want to make there?
Well, I think I would just add that initially they didn't trust each other because they still have internal politics where there's humans who came in, there's soldiers. I just forgot what those soldiers are called. I think it's the Black Hawks or something like that. They come in, you find someone like Green Arrow who doesn't have superpowers, but he's trying to come in. And then you have superpowered guys. So it's like a fight between the superpowered, the metahumans, soldiers, Faraday, and Superman is like, guys, there's no time for this. Okay?
No, like I agree. There's no time for this. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, we just need to join forces. We have a common threat that is not even from our planet. I think it's something that I think Reagan made a speech. I could be wrong, but he made a comment saying that the day we actually start having an alien invasion will be the day we all forget about all these politics that we have amongst each other because we'd have a common threat from another planet or outer space or whatever.
I wonder if that's true. Like COVID did not bring anyone together. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it actually separated a lot of us. It's crazy, right?
It's crazy. We want you to come together.
Yeah.
Time to come together. Nope. But whatever. That's something we all need to discuss at some point. Like really look at ourselves. Together takes us. Oh yeah, Superman. See, after Superman takes down the pterodactyl in like 3 seconds, he gets his shine and he gets Thanos versus Hulk. He gets maxed up and and he's out the movie.
Yeah, no, he definitely got Yamchat, bro. He got Yamchat for sure.
Yes.
And I think that was deliberate because it's like if your strongest champion gets taken down easily, now the humans now had to become, and you see, this is something that I think is not fully explored when it comes to the Flash as a character. The Flash is really smart, he's very smart, but they don't really show it that much. But in here, he now starts coming up with a solution. It's like, okay, we need to come up with a way to shrink the center, I think. And
Well, combination of things. Batman first shows up. Well, first they have a meeting together, right?
right,
Batman shows up.
yeah,
He brings Ray Palmer.
yes,
Right?
huh?
Ray Palmer is the Atom, right?
Yeah, he's the Atom. But
Okay.
funny enough, I like that in this film, they didn't show
Yes.
him as the Atom. He comes in as Ray Palmer.
Yes, he's just a scientist.
Right. It's kind of like if you were to bring in, kind of like how they did it in Avengers, where they're bringing in Bruce Banner because he's an expert at gamma radiation, not because they want him as the Hulk.
Exactly. And
Right.
then ironically, Ray Palmer's inability to make his shrink ray work, Batman's like, yes, that's why we're going to use it. Because the shrink ray doesn't work, we're going to use it.
Right.
So he says everything that shrinks explodes. And he's like, exactly. And then they're like, okay, cool, but it's a giant being. How are we going to shrink the whole thing? Well, and then like, we need someone fast enough to be able to to press the button and hit it at the exact same time from different angles.
Yes.
Flash.
Flash. Right. So you start seeing how. That's why I love Darwin Cook's writing, man. You see the usefulness of each hero.
Yeah.
At specific moments.
It's great, man.
And also they needed, even though they were externally, they needed to shrink this thing, but they also needed a distraction. Because if Flash is running around and there's no distraction, this thing can kill the Flash. So you needed people that can come inside the center.
Yes.
Try to distract it or destroy it from within and still distract it from outside.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like 3 points of impact.
Yeah.
If you were to put it lightly, yeah.
Very inside and out kind of thing. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's kind of a moment where Martian Manhunter is supposed to shine and he flops immediately, which is just hilarious.
This is something that I never really understand about the Martian Manhunter. In almost every medium that I've seen him in, this guy is powerful, bro. He is a force to be reckoned with. But they always nerf him, dog. They always nerf him, though. Like, I don't know why they always nerf him.
And then Faraday has to save his life and dies in actually a pretty badass way, even though it's to a low-level monster. With the two blades and he goes into the thing's mouth and he just fucking blows up. That was cool.
Yeah.
And then Martian Manhunter wakes up. And now Wonder Woman is here. Cool. Anyway.
Right.
Like, she doesn't do much, and it's so disappointing. But it's okay. I still love her entrance. She comes in, she kicks some ass. Then Hal enters the creature and is saved by the Green Lantern powers who start to talk to him for once. Flash gets his moment and Ray blasts everything. But before he can blow up, it starts to attack the Earth even harder. So coming for the land. And then Green Lantern has to step up. Like, at this point, I won't lie to you. A part of me thought, okay, this is the part where Superman comes in. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. But no, Green Lantern holds his own, man. That was good. That was really good.
What did he do again? I think he...
Around it.
Yes.
Then he chucks it into space before it goes.
Before it blows up, yeah.
And that saves the day. Well done, everyone. We did it. And
then that was definitely a team effort, eh?
Definitely. And they got rid of the linchpin, which is very good. I love it. Like when they like when the mentor dies. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing in the storytelling where that has to happen. Because if it doesn't happen, the story is weak. So
who died Faraday?
Well, no. When I say the mentor dies, I'm talking about Superman's story.
Oh.
I'm talking about that Superman is too powerful, so it ruins the story. In the
Yes.
same way, the mentor normally tends to be too powerful, so you need to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But then, as it turns out, Aquaman appears. I guess this man was just hiding. He was like, I'll wait till afterwards, guys.
I guess he was not concerned with issues concerning the land people, But I
Yeah,
don't think he understood that that was a catastrophic. It was more of a global threat than just a land thing.
like that thing can't swim. This turn was coming. But yeah,
Yeah,
luckily, Aquaman shows up, Superman in hand, and there's kind of like an Incredibles type, the end of Incredibles, where
yeah.
they
What did he say that he said this man is looking for a Lois Lane or something?
oh,
Yeah,
there was a nice moment, even though I feel like she's giving away Superman's identity, but anyway, where Lois basically is like when they think Superman is dead and she just kind of breaks down. That was a nice moment.
yeah.
The news report and she falls apart, and I thought that was nice. That
But
was
you actually see how brave she and Jimmy are because I mean they were in the action, bro. Jimmy was taking photos.
yes, the thing is grabbing him. I'm like, nigga, what are you doing?
What was he doing?
He was like still recording as like a T-Rex was like about to eat him. I'm like,
Like Olsen, like how much are you getting paid, man, to take these photos, bro?
appearances aren't worth it. Calm down. But yeah, we get the Incredibles moment. The heroes who have been shunned the whole movies make a comeback, and the Justice League is born, and the rest is history.
And there's something that you mentioned, right? That is very crucial. You mentioned how Lois Lane has been basically painting this image that, superheroes shouldn't be trusted.
Yeah.
But at the end, the very person who was basically pushing this narrative is the one that's hailing everybody as a hero, including Batman.
Yes.
So she
It's
was wrong.
it's a low-key arc. But I would say there's so many things happening in this thing at the same time. The pacing is so
Yeah, that you don't see some of these
it's
right.
a arc. You only get to see what, maybe 5 shots of her, but it's a full storyline.
Right, right. I'm actually seeing it. I've seen this movie maybe 3 times, 2 times, but it's only clicking now that we're speaking about it. That oh, flip, yeah, her storyline in this movie, even though it was like even though it's like through 5 appearances, is done throughout the movie. Yeah. So yeah, man. That's the basically the end of the movie. I can't believe it took us 2 hours to actually talk about.
Minutes, and the rest was writing talk.
Yeah. Um, yeah, man. So what are your overall thoughts? I think you did mention a bit of it, but just to conclude.
I think it is a tricky way of writing. There's
Mm,
sometimes when you overplan things, you can have negative effects. And
right,
when you plan things, you can have negative effects.
right.
And I would almost argue it's slightly overplanned, the storyline, because the
Mm,
way things come together are beautiful, but
right.
that is but great moments, and we spent an hour talking about them.
Mm,
So individualistic,
right.
and is to them come together so much later that it almost peels away from that great point. You know what
Mm.
I mean?
I guess that's the challenge of writing, and this is something that has been on my mind lately, of writing team up a film about iconic characters teaming up. You need to give them enough screen time, but at the same time, you know that this is not an individual, one single character's film, right? If this was a Batman movie, we could have had a lot of Batman, a lot of character moments, a lot of highs and lows. But this is a Justice League movie, so you need to flesh out so many characters. You need to all give them like equal weight to whatever is going on, but at the same time, someone will be lacking somewhere. Whether it's Wonder Woman being off screen for the most part or Superman being nerfed from the beginning. You cannot do all these characters justice. It's just not possible.
Why does Miss Ferris like how? Why does she just does? But
What
that's
is
not
what?
the thing on it. Why does Miss Ferris like how? Is it because it's hot? All right, I guess. That's the only logical explanation.
Yeah, because I'm sure there are other good-looking guys there that she could have dated. That's a good
But
question.
but I guess he's that confidence he has.
Right.
That's all we have. That's all we have. That's all we can guess.
For Ferris, yes.
There'd be more to it. If there was more
Right.
time, there'd be more to that.
Yeah, because you could see that she's a very strong character, very independent, not just a pretty face,
Yeah.
but yeah, there was more that could have been explored there, 100%.
Fine. You know what I mean?
Mm.
The thing which he goes and watch copying noir, and Marshall Manhunter goes and copying detective noir to being a full-time detective. When did he get his license?
Yeah, and it seemed like he was in the field with this guy for a very long time. So that the time period, the only time where you actually see that time has changed is Batman's costumes, because initially you see the old costumes with the gloves, with the purple gloves. From there to when he's meeting Superman, you actually see that he's changed his costume. Yeah.
How did they go from Martian Manhunter to a spaceship? That means years have passed.
Yes. Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
How long have they been doing the Flash thing? How long have they been dating? No time. And
Do you
that's the next thing. But if you look at the overall picture,
Right.
kind of sliced together, it's kind of beautiful. And it is a good DC movie. It just has a lot of the parts, the glue that connects the parts might be the bit of an issue,
Bit
but the
loose.
actual core of the storyline is great. There's a reason to love this story. It's actually pretty good. It is the sum of all its parts, if that makes sense.
Right. Do you think it could have worked better as a series, maybe?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because like I said, in my opinion, I felt like Batman Year One kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit in some of the scenes.
Mm.
So I think it's good. This is better than Batman Year One, by the way. I think this is better.
Really?
Yeah. I think the coming together to make one thing like that is. Having said that, if this movie, because remember, it's like 1 hour and 20 minutes. An extra 10 minutes, an extra 20 minutes might have made this a better movie.
Right. Right. I agree with you. Because, like Faraday, for instance, Martian Manhunter and Faraday, in as much as they developed a relationship, that also felt rushed. I did believe their relationship, don't get me wrong, but I felt like had we had more scenes with them, maybe I would have really felt more about their their relationship. I would have bought more into their relationship.
What convinced Mr. Faraday, the guy that snuck a nuclear bomb on a he didn't own,
Right.
at the Martian Manhunter, just out here trying to gun this nigga down,
Right.
to playing chess with him and being best friends and dying for him? I went some steps.
Right. Because I don't think a speech with Superman could have been enough to convince you that this guy is not a threat. There should have been more.
A 10-second speech to Superman.
Right.
Do you know what saves us, our knowledge of comic books?
Yes.
Fills in the gaps and makes it
That's
a better.
true. Because if we were watching this movie without knowledge of who these characters are, let's say this movie is a completely new movie. We've never heard of Superman, Batman. We've never heard of Martian Manhunter. We've never met. We would have had a lot of questions.
Yeah, it would have felt more like a textbook than a movie.
Mm.
A lot of explaining
Right.
and showing.
Right.
But to us, it didn't feel like explaining because we understood immediately.
Right.
That is pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. Sometimes, you know what? You can make a movie for the fans. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Fully okay with fan service.
Right.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, because we know what's going on, it's great. It's like Ahsoka Tano, right? I never watched Rebels. So for me, I kind of hate Ahsoka Tano. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get people's love for it.
Right.
Never saw Rebels. For me, it felt like Ahsoka Tano was a slow, tedious show. Who are these people? Why are we so nervous about Ezra? Okay, cool. Thrawn, I get it. The final Lord. But Ezra, who's this person? Why are we sacrificing the universe for this guy?
Right.
You know,
Right.
So I feel like that's what I would get from this if I didn't know some of the Superman stuff, some of the Wonder Woman stuff. That's okay. Yeah. So for me, this is a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, look, I would give it an 8 out of 10, but initially I wanted to give it a 9, but you do really come up with a lot of strong points. It is good writing.
Yes.
And this is why sometimes I feel like these type of projects, had they been the live action, they would have been way superior.
Yeah.
DCEU would have been way more superior than what we've got over the years.
Because think about this as live action. Number one, it's Vietnam, right? So age makeup on Hal, done. There's no such thing as age makeup in a simplistic, let me not say simplistic, as a guy who can't draw, let me not say simplistic, but you know what I mean, like a streamlined art style. I can't, the new suits that Batman said, I didn't even notice that until you said it.
Right.
Now that I think about it, you're right, those were different suits.
Right.
Live action, you see that immediately.
Yes.
Might be the perfect live action movie. Like now that you've said it to me,
yeah,
too expensive because there's so many locations.
So many locations, having to do CGI on the center, Vegas, space program. Those moments were going to be very costly.
That's going to be so expensive.
Yeah.
But if you were to ever make a live action, this would be add another 10 minutes just to flesh things out.
Yeah.
Would be it. Like that part with the heart attack, that could be done with no dialogue. Oh, the Flash.
100%. That moment could have even been done through narration or, like you're saying, like just music.
There's a bright light. He sees a guy. He's so shocked. He starts thinking, maybe he reaches for some heart medicine or something like that. It slips out of his hands. The Martian guy tries to catch him, and then he's like, "I'm so sorry," or something like that. Like maybe 2 words, done.
Yeah.
The end. Everything that was said in that little Martian Manhunter section already explained visually.
Yeah.
And we done better in live action. So notice nothing here. Like for example, I've seen clips of Rebels, right? It's all like, you know what I mean?
Right.
What's her face? She's a wonderful actor. I love her.
Rosario Dawson.
She's at 48 years old. So some of the action is not as fast as it could be.
Right.
And versus the stuff you see in Ahsoka Tano, kind of doesn't feel as good. But this one, there are no action scenes like that. So this one would actually do a lot better.
I get you.
You've already seen that scene. Robert Downey Jr. did it amazing in Iron Man, the first ever Iron Man. So we know a scene like that coming up. The date scene. You've seen scenes like that all the time. That can work. Him fighting the cult. Robert Downey Jr. did it as well in Sherlock Holmes.
Right.
We've already seen that before.
Right.
It writes itself.
Yeah.
Be perfect as live action. That I wouldn't even say 9 out of 10. You know what I mean?
If it was live action, yeah, definitely.
Because now that you say these things, like I didn't realize at times that it's blowing my mind. Because Robin just suddenly shows up, and I'm like,
yeah.
Who is a Robin?
Exactly. Exactly. But you start understanding that time has passed between that moment of Batman being a vigilante and him and Clark actually trusting each other and Batman not having an issue with Clark being around.
Lois Lane off would have made so much, would have been even more clear with us seeing her getting older. Dude. If you convince me this would be a great live action, man. This would be
Trust me, I think it really would. And I think you don't even need A-list actors for this.
Yeah.
All you need is people who understand the characters that they're playing and good VFX artists, and would have had a new hope level type of film that would have stood the test of time, I believe.
Imagine Force Awakens budget.
Yeah, yeah. And instead of expecting hyper fighting that we've gotten from Snyder or jokes that were unnecessary from Marvel, you just get a solid.
Brilliant. It writes itself. Like what you just in hand, no need for a
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, thanks thanks so much, guys, for checking us out. We're almost at 3 hours. But as we've mentioned, guys, we love movies. Like I'm sure you can tell right now. And this is an animated movie, by the way. We love movies, and you can imagine if we had other people here, it would have been like a 4 hour discussion. But thank you so much for watching this video. Like I said, if you guys have any recommendations of movies that you would like us to touch on, please let us know. If you don't agree with what we said, also please let us know on that. If you do agree, also let us know. So don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, and we'll definitely see you next week with another video. And yeah, we'll definitely see you on the next one. Cheers.